So the final method that we're going to talk about in this chapter for solving a quadratic is called the quadratic formula. And when you come back to school, I'm going to sing the quadratic formula to you. So you better be ready. Now, again, the quadratic formula is really only to be used when you can't factor or when you can't easily solve it another way. It looks big and scary at first, but it's really not as bad as it looks. In fact, I prefer the quadratic formula to completing the square. But it's up to you. So let's dive right into it. Example 1, find the zeros of the function by using the quadratic formula. Which I guess brings me to the quadratic formula itself. Should I sing it right now? No, you're going to have to wait. Yeah. So here's the quadratic formula. I'm going to write it up top. If ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, that looks familiar, right? Then x equals, it's a big fraction, negative b plus or minus big square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Like I said, it looks crazy to start, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All over 2a. Pause it if you need to make sure you got everything written down because we're going to need it. All right. F of x equals x squared plus 10x plus 2. First of all, let's set it equal to 0 because that's how we find the zeros. Now, if I'm going to use the quadratic formula, I need to know what a, b, and c are. So let's write those out. A, in this case, is 1. B is 10. And C is 2. So now I'm just going to plug everything into this formula. And everywhere I see an A, I'm going to change it to 1. Everywhere I see a B, I'm going to change it to 10. And everywhere I see a C, I'm going to change it to 2. So here's how it's going to go. X equals negative B. Well, B is 10, so I'm going to have negative 10. Plus or minus the square root. B squared is 10. So I'm going to have 10 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 2. All over 2 times A, and A is 1. Whew. Now we have to simplify it. I'm going to have negative 10 plus or minus 10 squared is 100. 4 times 1 times 2 is 8. All over 2. Now I have the square root of 92. Now, is 92 a perfect square? No, it's not. But a perfect square does go into it. (92) is 4 times 23, So I'm going to have negative 10 plus or minus 2 square roots of 23 all over 2, which means the last thing I can do is simplify everything by a factor of 2, which gives me negative 5 plus or minus 1 square root of 23. Fun times. Let's try another one. G of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 10. All right, here's our quadratic formula. You ready? First, let's state what a, b, and c are. A is 1, b is negative 8, and c is 10. Okay, so x equals negative b, so negative of negative 8, plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times a times c. A is 1, c is 10, all over 2 times a, which is 1. The negative of negative 8 is just 8. Negative 8 squared is 64. 4 times 1 times 10 is 40, all over 2. 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 40 gives me 24. 24 is not a perfect square, but we can simplify it. 4 goes into it, which means this is 8 plus or minus 2 square roots of 6 over 2. And now I can divide everything by a factor of 2. So I'm going to have 4 plus or minus 1 square root of 6. And that would be my answer. All right, again, I know this is a lot to digest. Just make sure you've taken good notes, you have the formula written down, and you come ready to practice and ready to really let this soak into your brain. And we'll see you soon.